Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on the View from the Crowd YouTube channel, and today we are going to be previewing the final race of the F1 season in 2020. Christ, this season started 10 months ago. 10 months ago in Spain with testing. Went to Australia, that didn't happen, we didn't have a race for 3 months, and then, the last 6 months, absolutely crazy. Jam full of races, but now we come to the 17th and final race of the season in Abu Dhabi, which is boring crap, and I really don't like it. I honestly miss the good old days where we could just go to Brazil and end the season. It was so much better, it was so much more exciting, but of course Brazil's COVID is not brilliant at the moment, so it's definitely best that we avoided. Abu Dhabi have been, they've been hosting loads of events recently, a lot of MMA, a lot of UFC, so they've sort of had this sort of very COVID aware sort of policies in place to make sure that they could still run sporting events, and here we are, final race of the season in Abu Dhabi. Now there wasn't nearly as much news as there was last week. Of course, there's stuff about Nikita Mazepin that has come out this week, which of course is fucking horrible, and he's a bit of a twat. I think we all pretty much knew that before he joined, before he got announced in Formula One. I think it's confirmed it in a lot of people's minds at the moment, but I'm not going to touch on that because it's a very iffy subject at the moment, and we're still waiting to see if there is anything going to happen with him in Formula One, any punishments that are going to come across. So I think it's best to wait until something comes out about that. And of course, the other thing is that George Russell still is written in to drive for Mercedes this weekend. Of course, Lewis is pending a new COVID test, so if that comes back negative, it will be Lewis Hamilton in the car on Sunday, and it'll be George going back to his old seat in Williams. So it's still a little bit unknown quite yet, especially at the time I'm recording this. George has done all of his press interviews with Mercedes and still looking at the moment like he will be driving the car on Sunday. However, that is not 100% confirmed when I'm filming this. So things could change in between now, the time that I'm filming this and the time that this gets released. We'll just have to wait and see. But despite all that, we will crack on with this preview, and as always, we will start with Mercedes. It was heartbreak for George last weekend. Not once, but twice he was screwed out of the win. It just feels so bad. I do hope that he does. I wish Lewis the best, and I hope for a speedy recovery and everything, but he's won the championship now. He can sit out this final race. I know he'll want to get in and race again, but I think that a lot of F1 fans just want to see George given that one more opportunity just to see if he can win the race, because honestly it looked like he was cruising to it last week, but it just wasn't meant to be. I think a lot of people want to see him get that second chance this season, just to end his season on high. Of course, he's got his first points in Formula One now. He's not going to be catching Luke Bedoya's record anytime, ever, because he's got a Formula 1 point. But I think we all want to see him get that race win, and I think we all just deep down want to see him have another crack at it this weekend. But if Lewis comes back into the car, it'd be interesting to see how this week out has affected him. I imagine not too much, because Lewis is a phenomenal driver, and I'm sure he'll just get straight back within the sort of the swing of things. But one thing that we can be certain of is Bottas is going to be in the car, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. It was a disappointing race for him last weekend. I know he'll definitely be wanting to bounce back. I think, if I'm being honest, I have been disappointed with Bottas's performances since Lewis won the title. I said that after that race in Turkey, this was Bottas's time to he needed to do a Rosberg. He needed to win all these final races, and just build this momentum, and just take that into next season. We've only got a short winter break. 2 months' time, they're back in Spain. They're testing the new cars. 3 months' time, they're in Australia. They're racing the first time. Bottas needed just to be able to take some momentum. While Lewis was away, dominate, win that race, but he didn't. He fell short. He might have got a pole, but it was only by this much. By someone who had been in the car literally for, collectively, about 4 hours. It just doesn't really show Bottas in the greatest of light, and I think it's got a lot of people questioning whether he is right to still be in that Mercedes car. He does his job well. At Mercedes, he does his job well. He's the wingman to Lewis. He does his job. But are we ever going to see a competitive title fight from Bottas? I don't think so. Because it would have happened by now. Now we move on to Red Bull. Disappointing. Very disappointing from Red Bull. I think they could have definitely won the race. But Max had his incident on the first lap and Alex looked slow. He looked a shadow of the driver that we saw in the first Bahrain race. It was frustrating to watch Alex. It was like, yeah, he did such a great job. He may not have, I don't think he personally deserved to be on the podium in Bahrain, but he kept his nose clean. He did what he needed to do. And yeah, he may have lucked into that podium, but at the end of the day, you've got to be there to, take advantage of these type of things. And that's exactly what he did. And it just wasn't a good performance from Alex last weekend, and there was a lot of talk around the paddock, and a lot of talk on Twitter that Alex was now safe, and I think that's now unsure. I don't think Alex is safe for next season. I think he is in real trouble, and because Perez won the race, he did a remarkable job last weekend, and Alex was just nowhere. I think it's really going to be put into sort of perspective just how hard Alex needs to race in this final race. He needs to pull off something terrific. He needs to beat Max. If he can beat Max, he's safe. But at the moment, there are real doubts. And I think it's a shame, but I think we just got to stare sort of facts in the face here. Alex's Red Bull career could be coming to an end after this weekend if he doesn't show up. Now I'm going to move on to both Racing Point and McLaren, because this is the real big story of this weekend. Who takes third in the Constructors' Championship? Now there's technically, Renault could be there, but it's going to be unlikely. Renault have been really sort of faltering recently, not been the best. I think it's unlikely Renault is sort of in this fight for third now. It is now definitely between McLaren, Racing Point. First Bahrain race, McLaren come across a haul of points, 4th and 5th. We're thinking, it's done. Is it done? No. Racing Point come back. What do? They win the race and get another and get Stroll on the podium as well. Fight back hard. They've come from like 20 points down to now 10 points ahead. Remarkable turnaround from Racing Point. Absolutely phenomenal job. McLaren having issues. I think Sainz, if he hadn't have screwed up that VSC sort of pit stop, could have been on the podium, could have even won the race. Lando, he got a great start. He was moving up the field, and then boom, had an issue, and that was it. And he was sort of resigned to just sort of just try and get some scraps, and he did. He got a point, but it's not exactly what McLaren need here. They need to be coming into this final race now, and they need to be getting as many points as they can. I think Racing Point have definitely got the upper hand coming into Abu Dhabi. I think they're definitely going to be the favourites to, finish best of the rest. But McLaren need to come up and show something. And I think McLaren definitely have the capability. Sainz, this is his final race for McLaren. He will be wanting to, sign off in style. He's going to Ferrari next season. It's going to be a big challenge, and he'll want to sign off. And Lando will just be doing, what he does. He'll be trying to push as hard as possible. For Racing Point, it's going to be Sergio Perez's final race, potentially in Formula 1, at least for now. but it's certainly going to be his last race at Racing Point. He'll be wanting to sign off himself. He got his win, but I think he'll want to still get this third place for the team. To sign off and go, hey, look, this is what you're missing out on next season. And then Lance Stroll, well, he's pretty much safe in that seat, so it's very much up to him what he gets on with. But if I am going to make a prediction of who is going to finish third in the constructors, I think it is going to be Racing Point. I think they have the car. I think they have this sort of huge momentum coming in from last weekend. And I think they're just going to be able to, get that car over the line just ahead of McLaren and finish third in the Constructors' Championship. Now, Renault, they are 22 points off Racing Point, but it's just, I think it's a little too far. And with how good sort of McLaren and Racing Point have been doing in recent races, I think it's going to be difficult to see Renault really getting that many points to secure third place. I think they're pretty much safe where they are in fifth. Ferrari are quite significantly behind them, so I think it is just going to be fifth place for Renault. It'll be Daniel Ricciardo's last race for Renault, 2 seasons there. He's done fairly well. He's got a couple of podiums this season I think he'll be very happy with, but he'll definitely be looking forward and seeing what McLaren have to offer. A lot of people were questioning whether he made the right choice with McLaren because they were faltering and Renault were doing so well, but I think it's quite clear that Renault are lagging somewhat behind McLaren. McLaren shouldn't, from a Renault sort of standpoint, McLaren should not be finishing ahead of them. They are the customer team at the end of the day, and now that they're going to sort of potentially get third in the Constructors, which would be huge if they can do it, and then go on next season to get a Mercedes engine, I think Ricciardo has made possibly the greatest move ever. Ditch a sinking ship, which appears to be Renault. I wouldn't say it's sinking, but it's not doing particularly brilliant at the moment. And then jump to McLaren, who just seem to be going up and up and up at the moment, which is great to see. And I think a lot of people are really glad that McLaren are kind of back in business, and next season with Mercedes, this could be an interesting one. Now we move to Ferrari, and it's going to be Vettel's last race, but I'm not expecting much. I think he just wants this race to be over, this season to be over, so he can sod off to Aston Martin and just start fresh. It's so clear that he's been wanting out of that team since race 1. I think it's just... it wouldn't surprise me if he retires from the race, because he just goes, you know what, stop this. I'm not putting up with this team anymore. Maybe have a little collision with Leclerc, make the team sort of a bit of a headache before he moves on Monday. So, you never know. But it's a shame that Sebastian and Ferrari are going to be sort of like moving on such sort of what we can only assume is pretty bad terms. I think a lot of us wanted to see Sebastian win the title with Ferrari, and he could have in 2017 and 2018, but the car was the letdown factor for him. The back end of the season, that Ferrari was dreadful, and then Ferrari could only achieve a competitive car last season toward the end with a legal engine, but even then it was Charles Leclerc who was just absolutely romping him. So sad times for Vettel, but hey ho, he's got a new challenge at Aston Martin. It'll be great to see how he does, but it is a shame that this will be Sebastian Vettel's last season at Ferrari, despite this being their 4th and 6th seasons now. It is going to be sad in a way. But for Leclerc, it's his final. It's not exactly his final race anytime soon. He is Ferrari's prodigy, and he's got Carlos Sainz to look forward to next season to be battling with. Now on to AlphaTauri. Pierre Gasly, of course, got the seat next season. Daniel Kvyat's potential last season in Formula 1, we still don't quite know, but Yuki Tsunoda will be in the car come the post-season test next week, and I think we're all pretty much waiting for that announcement that Yuki Tsunoda will be driving for AlphaTauri next season. He did win one of the 2 last races in F2, finished I think 3rd in the championship. He's driven remarkably well all season, but it was of course down to Callum Ilott and Mick Schumacher, who is going to win that title. But I think Yuki Tsunoda would be a very logical, very good choice for AlphaTauri to bring into Formula One, and hopefully they will do. Let's not take anything away from Kvyat though. Kvyat has done a great job at AlphaTauri in the last year. It's a shame that his Formula One career is coming to an end for the second time, but it's just the way the sport moves at the moment. He's against an incredibly competitive teammate in Pierre Gasly, who has been doing wonders this season. And sometimes you just need to sort of bring in those new drivers, and we'll see how he does. But another driver coming to the end this season. A lot of change coming next year. Now on to the Ferrari customer calamity teams of Alfa Romeo and Haas. I don't think there's really much to say. Alfa Romeo will probably be doing what they usually do. They've got nothing to worry about when come sort of driver-wise. Both Kimi and Antonio are contracted for next year, so they're not going to be too asked. They've always got next season. Haas, of course, it is going to be. Well, we've confirmed that Romain Grosjean will not be racing this weekend, which is such a shame. That that awful incident in Bahrain will be his last ever outing in a Formula One car. Even though Mercedes have said that they'd be willing to give him a shot in a private test, which I think is a wonderful gesture by them. Kevin Magnussen, he'll be racing, I believe, in IMSA. So I don't think he'll be too bothered at all. He'll be following the route that his dad took and going to sports car racing. So I think he's been in Formula One since 2014 with McLaren. So he's had his time in Formula One now, and I think he'll be wanting to depart on best terms. But with the way that the Haas is this year, is going to be. It's not probably going to yield great results, and I believe the other driver in the car is still going to be Pietro Fittipaldi for next year. For this race, he won't be driving for Haas next year. That will be Nikita Mazepin at the moment and Mick Schumacher, which will be an interesting lineup to see how those two get on. But I think Fittipaldi, he did a great job in his first outing, and I think he'll just be wanting to continue that this year. Well, this race, sorry. Now finally on to Williams. At the moment, it's written in that it'll be Nicholas Latifi and Jack Aitken racing, but at the moment we don't quite know. I still don't know. I could honestly go on my phone right now, check Twitter, and I imagine it will make absolutely no difference. Yeah, you just go through Mercedes Twitter. It's absolutely no announcements whatsoever. So, but Jack Aitken was doing a great job until his little incident brought out the safety car. It was kind of a rookie mistake, and it's his first race. You can't really go too hard on him. He'd only been in the car, done no testing really, so you couldn't really, you couldn't expect too much out of him. Nicholas Latifi did what he usually does, just sort of go around the track for 2 hours and just still finishes towards the back somewhere. So that's all I can really say. But we will have to wait and see the results of Lewis's COVID test, because if it is positive, it will still be Russell in the Mercedes and Aitken in the Williams. But if it is negative, I imagine he'll be straight back in that car tomorrow, and he'll be wanting to sort of go again for the final race of the season. He did express that he wants to race in the final race, so I imagine he will do so. So guys, that's all from me. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe down below and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload. My link to my blog will also be down in the description below, so make sure to get that. Follow the preview the review of this race will be on there, so make sure to check it out down in the description. So guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Julian. Thank you.